Good. Good afternoon. This is 5:30 p.m. I will call the City Council meeting of August 6th, 2025 to order. I'm presiding today at the request of Mayor Wright. We acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people, and we pay our respect to those past and present. Tonight's invocation will be provided by Pastor Mark Bahr of Redeeming Grace Church. Please stand with me in the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Bahr.
Let us pray. Almighty God, the sustainer of all things, in your providence you have appointed all who are in authority through many various means throughout the world. I thank you for these here tonight who are serving the city of Oak Harbor in their capacity as council members. I ask for your blessing on this meeting, that you might be pleased with its proceedings. I ask that all discussion and deliberations would be peaceable and orderly, and I ask that all decisions made would be just, wholesome, and beneficial, and that they would be carried out in the same manner. And I ask these things in the name of your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This will be both a physical meeting and a virtual meeting. Some members of staff or consultants may be participating via teleconference. Today's meeting may be viewed on YouTube, Facebook, and following the meeting on cable channel 10 HD 1090. At this time, I will ask our Deputy City Clerk, Mikhail Finkel, to call the roll.
Councilmember Arms?
Here.
Councilmember Merrill?
Present.
Councilmember Marshall?
Present.
Councilmember Stuckey?
Present.
Councilmember Wittgenstein?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Councilmember Wiesner is asked to be excused.
Thank you, Mikhail. Do I have a motion to excuse Councilmember Wiesner? Councilor Marshall.
I move to excuse Councilmember Wiesner.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Marshall, second by Councilor Merrow, I'm going to give it to excuse Councilor Wiesner. All those in favor, raise your hand and or say aye. Okay, I see you.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, that passes unanimously. Councilor Wiesner is excused. I would like to note that Attorney Bob Z from the city's legal firm of Kenyon Dyson is attending online. He's substituting tonight for Hillary Evans. And Z, I don't know if it's Zyneman or Zeneman, so I'm just going to call you Bob Z.
That works. It's Zyneman.
Thank you, for the record. Are there any suggested changes to tonight's regular agenda? All right. Hearing none, that is approved as presented. And our first agenda item tonight is an executive session per our CW 42.30.110 to discuss with legal counsel litigation or potential litigation. The anticipated duration of the executive session tonight is 20 minutes. Action may or may not be taken upon return to the open session of the meeting. Executive sessions are not open to the public. And at this time, we will adjourn. It is 5:36. We will return at 5:56 from our executive session to discuss potential litigation. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. It is 5:56, and we will reconvene after coming out of executive session. Next up, under contracts and agreements, as discussed in executive session, we have a settlement agreement and release of claims. We'll have our city administrator Combs and our deputy city administrator, finance director David Goldman, and attorney Bob Z. I don't know who's going to actually introduce this item.
David Goldman is doing the presentation.
Yeah, I could talk about this item. We also have Kim Wallbaum from our WCIA attorney as well.
Yes, thank you.
So this is an ongoing litigation between the Harborland Company et al. Versus the City of Oak Harbor. Let me see here. Advance the slide. So this litigation started in 2015. It alleged that a flooding event from the previous year occurred on their properties, and it was related to a storm-drained culvert under Goldie Road. Negotiations have occurred since that lawsuit was filed, off and on over the last decade. Based on recent negotiations, we were able to come to a proposed settlement agreement. Settlement agreement summary of the major terms are as follows on the slide. It would be a $70,000 settlement amount that will be shared equally between the city and our insurance company, the Washington City's Insurance Company, at $35,000 each. In addition, the city will agree to sell two parcels to the plaintiffs. The two parcels have a minimum, will have an assessed value of about $172,000, and that would be the minimum the city would sell it for. And the maximum we'd sell it for would be about $206,000, or the appraised value, whichever one of those is lesser. We're sharing the cost of an appraiser to go ahead and appraise those parcels. $1,250 for the city and $1,250 for the plaintiff. So as part of the settlement agreement, the plaintiffs will agree to construct and extend a public stormwater conveyance system at their own expense, and any development on the plaintiff's properties will need to comply with the current Oak Harbor land use and development requirements. This is a map of the area. Those two yellow boxes I drew myself, so I know they're pretty terrible looking, but those are approximately the boundaries of the two city-owned properties that are subject to this agreement. You can see that there's some other properties around those, and then to the south, you'll see what says the Coachman Inn. That's one of the plaintiffs of this particular action. So the suggested motion for this is to approve the settlement agreement and release of claims between the Harborland Company et al. Versus City of Oak Harbor.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. Kim or Bob, do you have anything to add before we turn to council?
I would add, great job by Kim and her team and all the city staff who have worked on this over so many years. It's always good to have litigation come to an end.
Yeah, no, just echoing Bob's sentiments. This has taken a lot of work to get here, and I want to really thank the city staff, especially city engineers who helped us get here, and David, of course. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Kim. And I realize that this item was literally just put in front of our audience, but for the sake of procedure, I'm going to ask if there are any public comments on this particular item before I turn to council. No? Okay. Council. Councilor Merrill, go ahead. Absolutely.
I strongly move to approve settlement of agreement and release of claims between Harbor Land Company et al. Versus City of Oak Harbor.
Second. Why do you go first? I was expecting Wittgenstein to chime in there. All right, we have a motion from Counselor Merrow and a second from Counselor Stuckey to approve the recommended action as presented, which is a settlement agreement and release of claims between Harbor Land Company versus City of Oak Harbor. Any further comments, questions, discussions? I'm looking for a hand up on the screen. Nope. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, I think that passes unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you for physically raising your hand as opposed to like using the little hand up button because it's easier to see your full-size hand on the monitor, so I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Okay, public comments are next. Members of the public at this time may comment on consent agenda items or on subjects that are not listed on the remainder of the regular agenda at this time. There will be an opportunity to comment on the agenda items during the meeting as appropriate. Comments on public hearing items will be heard during that portion of the agenda. Public can always visit our website prior to meetings for methods to submit public comments or contact our city clerk, Julie Nestor, by phone or email. When submitting your comments, please include your name and address. Public comment sent anonymously or from a non-verifiable address will be shared with the mayor and council, but will not be displayed during meetings. We've received several new public comments since our last regular meeting. Most are in regard to the marina or a potential B&O tax, and they will be displayed during that portion of the public hearing. The other comments will be displayed now. For stuff not on the agenda? Okay. Are there any members present who wish to speak to items that are not on the agenda or on the consent agenda? And if so, the clerk will call your name in the order in which you signed in to speak. And there will be a portion afterwards in case you did not get a chance to sign in. I'll call on you then as well. Mikhail, do we have a sign-in sheet?
Yes, Mayor Protem, we have 3 comments, and they are all regarding the B&O and/or marina.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone present who wishes to speak to something that is not currently on tonight's agenda? And if that's the case, then I would invite you to step up and make your comment now. Anyone? Okay, that's all agenda stuff. All right, we will move on. Thank you. We will move on to our consent agenda. Staff has presented the listed consent agenda items, all of which are included in the meeting packet. Are there any objections, changes to the consent agenda from council? Oh, okay. Hearing none, that is approved as presented. Or, sorry. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councilor Marshall.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion from Councilor Marshall and a second from Councilor Merrow to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, I see Chris. Thank you. That passes unanimously. Mayor's comments. I will be providing these comments on behalf of Mayor Wright. Shout out to our Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you to the community for enrolling their kids in Parks and Recreation's Camp Windjammer this summer. Our Parks and Rec team has been busy putting together events like Pirates and Mermaids earlier this summer, and they're working on a harvest festival at the marina, so stay tuned. and a grant award. As noted briefly at the council's July 22nd workshop, on June 25th, the Island Regional Transportation Planning Organization, or the IRTPO, Executive Board voted to allocate $950,000 in federal funding in 2025 to the City of Oak Harbor for design and permitting of improvements to Midway Boulevard. Midway is a key arterial through the city's commercial business district and extends about 1.2 miles from State Route 20 to the north of Pioneer Way and the harbor in the south. The IRTPO is facing the loss of approximately $1.1 million in federal funding this fall, and we're pleased to award these funds to the city, citing that our staff was prepared to move forward with the project. We're excited about more city projects and are very close to hiring a development services director. Mayor Wright would like to invite council members to meet and greet the candidates this Friday. Out and about, it was the mayor's pleasure to attend Regency on Whidbey's 25th anniversary open house and ribbon cutting, and to enjoy time speaking with residents and guests. Thank you to Regency for all they do in our community, and especially for the excellent care given to the mayor's wife, Peggy. Thank you to council members, staff, and our police and fire departments for participating in community events as well. Speaking of getting old, this like middle-aged reading glasses thing is, I'm still getting used to it. That's better. Okay, Kids Fishing Derby. The marina is pleased to once again be the site of the annual Kids Fishing Derby on July 26th. Approximately 50 youngsters participated and had a fantastic time. Thank you to Councilmember Arms for attending. Whidbey Playhouse. Congratulations to the entire cast and crew of Beetlejuice Jr. Mayor Wright and staff members attended this musical, and the mayor even walked away with a cool Beetlejuice mug. Arts Commissioner Carla Friend's granddaughter portrayed Lydia in the show. The photos shown are courtesy of the Whidbey News-Times. Thank you to our police and fire departments and everyone who was on site last night to support National Night Out. Mayor Wright attended with members of our staff and several council members. Upcoming events this Friday, August 8th, starting at 5:30, we have bus crews on the corner downtown. The Sherwood Community Day this Saturday, August 9th at Windjammer Park. Dave Paul, State Representative Dave Paul, will be there to discuss the importance of inclusive communities, and our very own Brian Smith will be on site to discuss inclusive playgrounds. Brian Smith is our Parks and Recreation Director, for those who don't know. Every Wednesday until August 20th, enjoy Sounds of Summer at Windjammer Park. We had to move our council meeting from August 5th to August 6th due to National Night Out, so we can't be there tonight, but we plan on being at others. The Wright Blend continues. Save the date for the next Wright Blend event prior to the buskers on the corner at the end of Summer Bash on August 22nd. Uh-oh. Oh, gotcha. I'm going too fast. Thank you for being patient with our technical adjustments tonight. We're operating a little differently than we're used to. All good. It's all good. So for the next Wright Blend event, our special guest will be NAS Whidbey Commanding Officer Nathan Gamache. Find us on the corner of Pioneer and Dock Street starting at 4 p.m. Again, that is on August 22nd. Advisory board vacancies. We still have openings on several of our city advisory boards and commissions. See the city's website for information on how to apply. And you can stay connected to city information and activities at any time by visiting our website and our Facebook page. That concludes the mayor's comments. At this time, I will call upon City Council for any council comments. Councilor Arms.
You mentioned the VFW at the marina with the kids. It was adorable. They were so excited. And the parents were glad to know there was a place that they could enjoy with their kids, and it was just nice to see the enthusiasm, and they were just delightful. And it's really fun to watch them try to measure them and try to not lose them. And so it was a great time. Beautiful day.
Thank you, Barbara. Any other council comments? Councilor Merrow.
Yeah, we're proud to have Chris Wittgenstein back in the saddle again. Thank you, Councilmember Wittgenstein, for being with us again.
Yes, thank you for making the effort to be here. We appreciate it. Is he trying to mute? Okay. It looks like he's trying. Again, thank you for your patience with our technical adjustments tonight. Any other council comments? Chris, I see your lips moving. Hang on, Chris,
Oh, hold on a
You
second.
can hear me or can't hear
now
me?
we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, well,
All right.
good. Welcome back.
Do you want to repeat everything you just said?
I can. I was just talking about surgery and all that. We're just having a good time online. The rest of us hanging out, waiting to join the crowd. Join the crowd.
Thank
Glad
you.
to see we're back. Thank you.
Thank you again for making the effort to participate tonight. Appreciate it. Okay, if there are no more council comments, then we will move on to our public hearings. Okay. Public hearings and meetings. We've got our ordinance 1998, adoption of a business and occupation tax. And I will introduce our Deputy City Administrator and Finance Director, David Goldman, to review the proposed ordinance.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody can see the screen.
We can.
All right. So this is a marina discussion, a public hearing on adoption of the local business and occupation tax. It's a continuation of that public hearing from a couple months ago. The workshop is about funding the marina, and that's just one of the workshop that we had a few weeks ago was about funding the marina, and the B&O tax was one of those options. So we'll go over that again, and let's take it away. So here's your table of contents. We have on the left, we have marina projects. We have for phase one, we have the dredging and also the breakwater. We have two options on the dredging, a minimum amount and a maximum amount. And then we have the breakwater. We have two options on that, a total replacement of the breakwater or more of a repair and rejuvenation of the breakwater. Then for phase two, starting in 2020 and beyond, there's a couple options on redoing all the docks for the marina and mixing up the boat slips to meet the needs of today's boating public. On the right, we have a list of revenue options that can be tapped to fund these items. We start out with retired debt service. We're going to be paying off that debt this year, so we'll have that expense go away, and we'll be able to have that capacity to fund those options. We've also looked at some property taxes, sales taxes, utility tax. We have that local business and occupation tax, the marina fees, lodging taxes. That's a new thing. I have a few slides on that. And then we discussed the Port District and the Metropolitan Park District. So for every one of these marina projects, all these items are applicable on the left. We have a fish window. We can only do work either on top of the water or in the water. It doesn't matter which. From mid-August through mid-February. We're advised to book the contractors by spring to make sure we get the good contractors. And the costs that you're going to see are provided by Moffitt and Nickel. They include an adjustment of 4.5% for annual inflation. In addition, the dock and the breakwater cost include an additional 15% for unknown future mitigation costs. Also some details applicable to all those projects and revenue options where we're rounding all the figures. So here's a list of the options I just talked about. For the dredging, estimated cost is $13.2 million in 2026 numbers. For a 20-year bond, that's $880,000. The minimum cost for a dredging, that's $10 million. And what do you call it? That's 2026 numbers, and the 20-year debt on that is $630,000 a year. This was discussed in 2024 in February, and the council, at the time, they said, let's go with the max, but I'm providing the max and the minimum option here for consideration. Also, there's a maintenance dredging that's needed. Moffitt Nickel gave us an amount of $5.5 million in 10 years, 2036. For maintenance dredging to extend the dredging another 10 years. And then we have for the breakwater, we can totally replace the breakwater. It'll have an estimated useful life of over 40 years. And in 2027 dollars, that's 12.3 million. And to borrow for 30 years, that's $760,000 a year. The cheaper option for the breakwater is just to repair and renovate it. That's $5.6 million. The useful life will be between 15 and 20 years. So on a 20-year bond, that's $390,000 a year. And then for phase 2, we have two options for phase 2 for the docks. One is a complete reconfiguration and redevelopment of the docks. That's a pretty large number, $34.2 million, 2028 numbers. That the useful life of that's over 40 years, and in a 30-year debt instrument, that's about $2.2 million a year. The less expensive option is just repairing the docks and renovating. That will give slightly more of the bigger slips for today's voting public, not nearly as much as option 1. That's a $9.3 million amount, and on a 20-year note or debt instrument, that's $735,000 a year. Here's some pictures of the current state of the marina provided to me by the harbor master. You can see the marina's in the middle, and there's a bunch of silt there on the left. And then on the right is another picture about how shallow things can get over at the marina. This is a couple photographs of the breakwater. You can see the general condition that it's in from these pictures. So here's those revenue options. There's a summary of all the revenue options again. And I'm not going to go through all the slides that we had in the workshop, because some of those slides would just be redundant. I'm just really going to focus in on the things that changed. But here's just an overall view of all the different options when it comes to funding all those projects we just talked about, and then what the impact would be. So. Also, we have two existing revenues. We have that retired debt service, and also we have the existing dredging fee. Using a 32-foot boat, well, actually, the dredging fee, this is, the rates, the $69.12, that's based on a 32-footer, a 32-foot slip or 32-foot boat. But the amounts, of course, are collected from all the different sizes of boats. We're estimating that's going to bring in about $250,000 in 2026. So any of those options we talked about, we start out with those two numbers of $613,000 of funding that we start out with. So for the B&O tax, just a few things I want to point out. There was some talk about sending it to the voters, and just we talked to I talked to MRC and I talked to our attorneys about this. The voter option in the statutes is only if the retail rate exceeds 0.002 or 0.2%. It's not in the legislation to go to the voters for anything else. It's in there that the council can go ahead and approve it. I also put in the chart you're going to see in a few slides that any collections that we collect prior to going out and issuing the debt can be used to reduce the borrowing. So if the B&O tax was to start, let's say, October 1st, and we're able to collect 6 months of money, we can go ahead and use that to reduce the amount we have to borrow, which is a long-term savings over the life of the loan. So for the B&O tax, I added some options on this end. At the workshop, I added some options on the lower end. Well, this time around, I said, why don't we show options both ways? So remember, there was an option for a $5 million threshold and a $2.5 million threshold. Now we have other options in between those two, separated by $500,000. So you can see, like, option 2, what that does is it brings the threshold down to $4.5 million. There's one more business that's affected by that. And the amount of money generated is about $26,000 more. Option 3, the threshold's now $4 million. That's 29 businesses would be affected, and that would bring in about $878,000. These are all estimates. We won't know how much we're bringing in until people actually do their tax returns. And then so on. You can see how the chart goes. So these are the options that we showed at the last meeting, the workshop. And I said, if this thing kicks off October 1st, we start collecting money every month. This is the amount of money for each one of those options that we'd have collected that can go towards reducing the amount we'd have to borrow. The lodging tax was brought up at the last meeting. I think it was brought up at a meeting, I forgot when, but like a number of months ago. At the meeting, at the workshop, lodging tax was brought up in the context of kind of like a one-time infusion. But I realized that, we're providing $50,000 a year to the Island County Tourism. That's more of a long-term commitment. So I was thinking, well, perhaps that also can be explored as far as having a bit of lodging tax go every year for certain, for the life of whatever debt instrument we end up taking out. So there's a little bit of a procedure with it, though. The way lodging tax works is the city council makes a motion authorizing the overall amount of lodging tax funding for the LTAC committee, that's the Lodging Tax Advisory Council, or committee, to allocate for the year. And they open an application period where people can apply. Eligible applicants can apply, including city departments can apply for it too, as long as it meets the criteria of lodging tax. And the LTAC reviews and recommends a list of applicants with funding levels, and that goes to city council. Then the city council can either vote to accept the applicant funding levels as they are, or they can go ahead and change funding levels on what the LTAC recommended, but then it would have to go back to LTAC for a 45-day period. And then after that 45 days, the council can then adopt what they sent back, or they can make changes for whatever LTAC we recommend. So that's their choice. But the one thing the city council can't do is they can't add a recipient that was not recommended by LTAC. So if LTAC sends back a list of recipients, council can't just add another one to that list. The LTAC has to be the one to decide what the recipients are going to be for that particular grant period. And also the would-be Island Tourism Interlocal, I talked about that before. That's a recurring recurring amount that we allocate towards them. This is the lodging tax. This is on the left, you'll see a chart, 2025 fund balance analysis. We're looking by the end of the year to have about $717,000. Depends on how much we bring in and, what we're projecting about that amount in our fund balance. And on the right, you'll see a 10-year stream of lodging tax revenues that we received. You can see that every year it pretty much goes up a little bit. Some years it goes down. 2020 it took a big hit because of COVID, and it came back in 2021. And you can see it bounces around, but generally if you had a line from 2016 to what we're projecting in 2025 and 26, the line would be up. So to summarize what we talked about for the projects, you have the dredging maximum and then minimum. That February 20th refers to a meeting council had where they voted on the maximum one. It's 2024, I believe, February 20th. The maintenance dredging. So for the maintenance dredging, there's two options for that. We can start putting money aside now for 10 years. And then just pay for the $5.5 million in 10 years. It would cost $410,000 a year for 10 years. Or we can just wait, see what happens, and then just, if we went out and took out debt in 2036 with the assumption of interest rates, and we're just assuming interest rates would be about the same and all that, it would cost a lot more to borrow the money than it is to put it aside, because when you put money aside, it goes into a reserve, and you're able to earn on the reserve, and also whatever revenue source you have might grow a little bit every year too. So that's one way to kind of reduce the future cost of that maintenance dredging. But that's just two options to consider. And then for the breakwater, we have the replacement, wholesale replacement, $760,000 a year, or the repair and renovation at $390. And then for phase two, for the docks, the larger amount is the reconfiguration, redevelopment of it. And then you have the repair and renovation amount, which is about a third. And here in the summary, these are the different revenue options that were discussed. You see the property taxes on top, the maximum average monthly cost, that's if the numbers in the middle column where it says amount, the entire amount, the maximum you can do was done. That would be the impact per month. this is just kind of like hypothetical, just giving you the maximum possibility. Of course, the property tax goes to the voters. Utility tax, for every 1% increase in utility tax, that's $250,000. The impact is about $2 a month for the average residential, user. And council makes that decision on an ordinance. The B&O tax, we have all those scenarios now. The minimum is $825,000. The maximum at the $100,000 level. I know I could go lower than that, but I used $100,000. That's $1.68 million. And that's the monthly cost to that's the median monthly cost to the businesses that are affected, either 26 businesses, 29 businesses, or so on, depending on the scenario. So it varies between those two rates. Then we have an additional dredging fee. We already have a dredging fee out there. It brings in, it's projected to bring in $250,000 for next year. It's at, it's going to be at $2.16 a foot, I believe, in October. I think it's like $1 or something now. I have a chart for that. I'll get into that in a minute. But if, let's say hypothetically, totally hypothetically, we put the whole cost of the dredging, of the amount that we need for the dredging, in the dredging fee, it would be an additional either $174 for the maximum rate or $105.11 for the minimum rate. And the same with the breakwater, we have the same amounts per month that it would affect the marina users. And we also have a comparison chart too. I'll be showing you how that would fit in. And then we have, of course, a new port district, expansion of port district, and a metropolitan park district, and that's what that would bring in. And those are all property taxes you see there, and that's what the equivalent maximum amount they can borrow. The bottom numbers are borrowing, the top numbers are like a permanent property tax every year. And that's what the impact would be per month. So here's your comparison chart on the rates. We looked at these cities, these port districts here. These are all port districts. And right now, the rates are for Oak Harbor. This is on a 32-foot slip. Open moorage, monthly rates, $361.80.
We lost you, David. You're frozen.
Am I back in?
You are back.
All right. How much did you
Rewind about
miss?
30 seconds. Oh, no.
There you go.
Try switching Wi-Fi networks.
Did we go over the slide that you're seeing?
Oh, yeah, or turn off your video
Hello?
to save bandwidth. We can hear you.
Your fading
Yeah, let me
in
turn
and
off
out.
my video.
Yeah, that might save some bandwidth.
Poor network quality. All right, I'll do my best. These are the comparable rates for the other marinas that we took a look at. You'd see on the bottom the Oak Harbor current rate on a 32-foot slip for open monthly moorage is $361.83. That's going up to $401.27 in October. So we went ahead and created some scenarios to help facilitate City Council's deliberation. The focus on these scenarios is city revenues. The non-city revenues are Port District and the MPD. So we didn't really focus on those two things because those are out of the city's hands. Those will be like a separate governmental entity if the voters were to decide to create those two things. So all the scenarios I'm going to show you fully fund phase one. And we also have that calculation model that I created for the workshop available to explore other options. So scenario one. This scenario has the dredging at the maximum level, the breakwater replacement at the maximum level, and then that maintenance dredging, putting money aside for 10 years, starting in 2026. And we're really focusing on phase one of these scenarios. Phase two, we'll show you the impact, but for every one of the phase two, we kept the highest level at the option one there. So this is what I put together for scenario one. The two numbers in white, those are existing revenues or expense reductions that we can utilize to fund the options. On the top amount, so phase one amount needed, you'll see a number in orange says $2.05 million. Then phase two, the orange number is, 2.235. But focusing on phase one, this scenario here would raise $3.6 million a year. It would have the utility tax at 2% increase, that would bring in $500,000, and that would impact the monthly payer, utility customer at $4 a month. For the B&O tax, it's set all the way to the lowest, the $100,000 threshold. That would bring in about $1.68 million a year. And the impact on the median business would be $102.08 a month. And then I have, there's a reserve, so if we're collecting money, if this takes effect October 1st and we collect 6 months worth of funds, that would bring in $840,000. And when I put in the calculator for the borrowing, the borrowing calculator, that equates to about $65,970 per year of reduction in how much the annual impact would be on the borrowing. Because we'd have that money to put towards the project and reduce the amount we have to borrow. Like I said, the white number, 250, is the existing dredging fee, approximately the $250,000 we're projecting for next year. Then we have an additional dredging fee. This is to bring in $500,000. It would impact the average 32. This is all based on a 32-foot slip. It would increase the amount by $138.24. And then on the lodging tax. So I said the total amount available. So if we're estimating $350,000 on lodging tax next year, assuming that it continues at least that level going forward, $50,000 has to be put aside for that tourism board, the interlocal agreement we have with the county. That leaves $300,000. And because things fluctuate, I just figured I'll be safe and take off, a little bit. Took off $25,000. So this just estimates the whole amount is put towards the marina, and that's $275,000 every year for like 20 years. And what that would do is it would definitely pay for phase one and provides about 2/3 of the funding for phase two if the highest option for the docks was chosen. Then I have these other slides that show you the impact on the marina rates, or the mortgage rates they call it. You can see here, in a few months, the mortgage rate on a 32-footer will be about $401. And what this would do is, on top of that, it would bring it up another 39% to $557. Scenario two, same projects are chosen. This slide didn't change. But for the amount generated, it's a lesser amount. The utility tax is set at 1.2% increase. Impact the average payer about $2.40 every month. B&O tax, the threshold was moved up to $1 million. That means less businesses would be subject to the tax. That would bring in about $1.25 million. And there's your average monthly impact to the businesses that would be affected. That's like the median, I should say median. The amount that we'd be collecting for 6 months would be lower, so that would be a little bit lower there as far as buying down how much we'd have to borrow. The additional marina dredging fee would set at $300,000, bringing $300,000 more, impact of $82.94. And then the lodging tax is at $275, I put it down to $175. And this is a chart for the mortgage rate, so this would increase the total mortgage rate by 23% over where it's going to be in a few months. Area 3, this didn't change, all these options are the same. This, though, is sized to just about pay for phase one with a tiny amount left over for phase two. So the utility tax, this is set at 0.9%, bringing about $225,000. The B&O tax was set at $4 million. That would affect about 29 businesses, bringing about $875,000 a year. Because there's a lot less businesses involved, but they're a higher value, the impact to the median business is $705 a month. Of course, you're bringing in money for 6 months. I have the same calculation I've been doing to buy down how much we'd have to borrow. The additional marina dredging fee, setting at to bring in an additional $190,000, and for the lodging tax, I set it at $110,000. So what that would do with these rates is it would increase the rates by 15% over where they're going to be in October, or what is that, $52.53 on top of where they're going to be at. They're going to be at $69.12 for a 32-footer. Scenario 4, this is where things start to change on the project mix. Instead of the max dredging, I brought down this to a minimum dredging. But everything else stays the same. Breakwaters, at the total replacement and all that. So this would be, you need less money. So that means we can lower the utility rate, increase the utility rate by 0.4% instead of where it was in the previous slide. B&O still set at the $4 million threshold. The dredging fee I put at $140,000, and the lodging tax would be $40,000 a year. So what that would do at $140,000 for the dredging, that would increase the dredging fee by $38.71, which would be an 11% increase of where they're going to be in October. They're already set to go up by 11% in October. This would be an additional 11%. Scenario 5, dredging got the max, but now the breakwater, instead of being a total replacement, it's just a repair and renovation. Where they kept the maintenance dredging as a reserve, put money aside. We need a little bit less money, so I was able to bring the utility tax to just a 0.1% increase, or 20 cents a month for the average residential payer. B&O tax set at $4 million threshold still. Dredging fee I put at $100,000, and the lodging tax $30,000. So that would increase the dredging fee by the total mortgage rate. Total mortgage rate by 7% over where they're going to be in October. You got scenario 6. So I put dredging at a minimum, I put the breakwater at just the repair, not the replacement, but I kept this dredging reserve, paying ahead of time in there. So this would, you need less money for that. So I just, actually I was able to just do the B&O tax at $5 million. I would bring in $825, have a little bit here to buy down the debt, and that would actually bring in more than enough. We'd have $40,000 to go to phase 2. And that's without any utility tax or lodging tax or breakwater fee, just purely on the B&O. And then the final scenario, final scenario, scenario 7. So what I did was I did the dredging at a minimum, I did the breakwater repair and renovation, that's the minimum price, and I didn't put anything for the reserve. Maybe that's something that can be figured out in the future. And phase 2, I just kept there. We're not really focusing on phase 2 of these scenarios yet. So you need less money for that scenario, and knowing that we already have 613 to start with, we only really need to make up 400,000. And I put this together with nothing on the B&O tax, and just to see what would be a mix of revenues that were non-B&O revenues. One of them's utility tax, maybe at 1%, $2 a month impact. The dredging fee at $140,000. I'll show you that impact on the next slide. Then the lodging tax at $25,000 a year. And of course, scenarios 5 and 7 have the same. I think maybe 4 and 7 have the same impact on the mortgage rates, but 11% over where they're going to be in October. So I put this is just a summary of everything I just talked about. I believe I put some summary sheets together for you to have, at your seats there to help kind of visualize how this looks. I don't know if they passed it out to you or not, but you should have those. And
Wendy's going to pass them out right now.
This too. Oh, okay, you're going to pass them out. So basically, what you're going to see is more or less. I think you're going to see you're going to see the top chart, and then you're going to see this chart here. Or maybe I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's on it. But basically, these two slides are the summary of all the scenarios, and this shows you the impact. So this slide here shows you the dollar amounts that will be brought in by the revenues on the bottom chart. Top chart shows you how much it'll cost to do these different options for the dredging and the maintenance dredging and breakwater and so on. This here shows you the impact. So first column, you got utility tax. That's your average monthly impact to a residential customer. The next one is the local B&O tax threshold. That'd be the threshold, the minimum threshold in order to be subject to the tax. So, for example, if it says like $1 million, it means if your business earns has gross receipts less than $1 million, not earned, I shouldn't say, gross receipts, that's how the law is written. Well, of less than $1 million, you're not subject to this tax. And there's a different threshold. So the higher that number, the less businesses that are subject to the tax. And then the next slide is the local B&O tax amount. That's the impact to the median business that's subject to the tax. So as less and less businesses are subject to the tax based on the threshold, the median dollar amount goes up because these are the larger businesses that would be paying it. As far as the dredging fee goes, that chart shows you the additional dredging fee amount. That's based on a 32-foot uncovered moorage. That's how much additional would be on that dredging fee. And then the next chart is the additional dredging fee percent increase of total mortgage rate. That's the percentages I was talking about in the previous scenarios. And then one thing I want to put on here is the lodging tax. So I wanted to show out of that $349,000 estimate we're thinking for next year on lodging tax revenues. This is the percent that these scenarios would be of that total amount of new revenue coming in. Not even counting the fund balance that's sitting there. This is new lodging tax revenue. And you can see scenario one is $275,000. It's almost 80% of all the revenue. And it kind of goes down from there. And of course, we have our calculation model available for exploring more combinations and permutations and so on. So I have this proposal here. So I know we've met a bunch of times on this, on the B&O tax, and we've met a bunch of times on the marina over the past 2 years. I know we've met even more, I think we met 13 or 14 times over the past 2 years on those two topics, whether in combination or separate. And I think we met, before I got involved, 2 years ago, beyond 2 years ago too. So I was just thinking, maybe to help with the decision making, we can have maybe a set of sort of ground rules to follow that you might want to consider, putting in place. Like for step one, we have that reference sheet. Hopefully, someone could email that to Councilmember Wagenstein. Step two. Each council member can make up to a 5-minute statement, or maybe a 10-minute statement, whatever you guys decide about which scenarios they would support. So everybody gets to go once, and then I'll go down that list of scenarios, and then I'll ask council just to indicate your support for each scenario. And then we'll see which ones get the most support. And then what we can do is we can cull it down like to the top 2 or 3. If there's a tie or something, we can cull it down to that, and then we just go back to step 2, where council members or they make another statement about their preference of the top 2 or top 3 or whatnot. And then I'll go down it again, and vote again, and then we'll see where we're at, and then we can see if we can go to that motion. So, I guess this is a stopping point about how you want to proceed.
Thank you, David. That's really helpful. In terms of proceeding, where are you in the presentation? Are we ready to do public comment and then turn to council, or do you have more for us?
Well, I do have more in the presentation. I could go with that and come here to I have everything laid out there. But basically, once we kind of decide where we're going, and if it is decided that the council does want to go forward with a local B&O tax, since this is the public hearing on the local B&O tax, this would be the recommended motion to follow, and then we have another agenda item next, and the one on the bottom would be that recommended item. We also have other items to talk about as well. Like I could show you after that, they would ask the council to select and direct the mayor to pursue whatever scenario ended up getting the support. So the minimum, maximum dredging, breakwater options, future maintenance dredging, future debt or contributing to a reserve. And if you want, we can also consider phase 2, or we can, but really kind of focused on phase 1. And then for revenue, we'd also ask the council to do a motion to direct the mayor to pursue one or more of these revenues below. And also, it should just give you food for thought. For other revenues, there's other steps. So if the council was to decide on a property tax, we'd have to come back to council with a resolution calling for an election with a ballot measure. If the council was to decide on utility tax, we'd have to come back to council and have a public hearing and an ordinance adoption for, the utility tax rates. If the council was to decide on a marina dredging fee or breakwater fee or whatever you want to call it, we'd have to come back to council with a resolution on updating the master fee schedule. And for LTAC, I went over those steps before. We'd have to follow these steps for LTAC. And then, of course, we have, these are Port District steps. These are kind of outside of our control in the Metropolitan Park District. So that's really the rest of the presentation.
Okay, so for the purposes of the public hearing for ordinance number 1998, the adoption of a business and occupation tax, then if we stick to that particular subject, then this might be a good time to open the public hearing and start accepting public comment. So make sure you've covered everything that you need to cover before I turn to the public.
Yeah, I've covered what I was going to cover. It's up to the attorney about following whatever. I don't know what the rules are. So
Okay.
No, that's fine. I mean, you guys cover what you want to cover, and then you have the hearing once they feel like they've got enough information to make an informed comments.
You guys got all that? You got all the 7 scenarios locked in? We're good? Okay, so at this time, I will open the public hearing and ask our Deputy City Clerk, Mikhail, whether or not anyone signed up to speak on this issue.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We do have 3 people signed up to speak, but we also have, I believe, about 10 or so that were received online, so whichever you'd like to do first.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak who has also submitted an online comment? Okay, because we have to pick one or the other. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so if that's the case, why don't you go ahead and display the comments received online?
Okay.
And then we'll go to in-person comments. That concludes the online submitted comments. So at this time, I will ask Mikhail to call forward those who have signed in to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The first person is J.J. Jones.
Okay, Mr. J.J. Jones, please step forward, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Good evening, everyone. J.J. Jones here, 2715 Laurel Lane in Oak Harbor. Been a resident of the city of Oak Harbor for 46 years, a marina tenant for over 25 years. Madam Mayor Pro Tem and distinguished members of the City Council, thank you for allowing me a few minutes here today. I urge you to pass the B&O tax. I also should point out I am the chair of the Marina Advisory Commission. So, and these are my opinions and not that of the Marina Advisory Commission. I urge you to pass the B&O tax for a number of reasons. One is, in all the scenarios that Mr. Goldman has pointed out, that it reflects 50 years of neglect by the city. We've never put away any money for the marina. It's all been done on the backs of the marina tenants. Anything that's taken place has been paid for by marina tenants. So I don't envy you your decision tonight, or whether it is being made as to which scenario you adopt. But I would urge you to do something. We have to provide funding for the dredging and for the breakwater. I also would encourage you to approve whatever bonds need to be issued to pay for this. I also would ask you to let the voters decide on the Port District, because that's really important. But I did want to talk briefly about the breakwater replacement. For years, I've been on the Marine Advisory Committee and now Commission for a number of years. And for years, Moffitt Nichols has pointed out that our breakwater is the wrong type and wrong design for our sea states and our great tidal changes. Now they're talking about putting over $5.5 million into repairing that, and an additional, $12 million to replace it with something of similar design. I would encourage us to find another consultant, because they've already told us that breakwater design is not good for our conditions here. Yet they want to fund a project at over $12 million to replace with a similar design. I would also encourage you to not try to put this burden on the marina residents themselves, tenants themselves. My marina bill in the last 3 years has gone up over 35%. And any of the scenarios would add an additional minimum of about 7 to 11% on top of that. And what you'll do is you'll price people out of this marina. And I know that there's been a lot of comparisons made between the Oak Harbor Marina and marinas in the area, but the only one that closely resembles our marina is the marina in Brownsville, Washington, which has a limited number of online things. Oh, my time is up. But anyway, the last thing.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
We're at 72% occupancy right now. And last year at this time, we were at 89%.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
The next person is Beth Munns.
Ms. Beth Munns, former Mayor Pro Tem and council member of the City Council. Please state your name and address and limit your comment to 3 minutes.
Beth Munns, 633 Southwest Waterloo Avenue, Oak Harbor. Council and Mayor Pro Tem. I doubt you know what activities are down there and how important that marina is. We have a high school sailing team. When they have a regatta, 200 kids come with their parents and their sponsors, and they spend money. We have a youth sailing program going on now, a camp, that has anywhere from 8 to 15 or 16 students every week. We have a JV team, which is our middle schoolers. We have, when the smelting is good, we have people come as far as from Tacoma. That is a community center. And the can has been kicked down the road. And we need to do something. I was part of the group that helped with the dredging. But our boat, we've had it on Sea Dock, if the tide is at 0, we nip the bottom. If it's below that, we get stuck and we can't go out and sail. So if we want to make a trip or something, we have to plan, hope there's a space out at F Dock, which is unsure because of the breakwater, move the boat out there a day or two early so we can leave with the tides at once. So there is so much that goes on there. I urge you, do not kick the can down the road again. Support the B&O tax, and I go for the 5 million or more that is brought into the city, so it doesn't hurt the little bitty ma and pa and small businesses. But don't let this gym go away. It was a gift, and we should take care of it, and we haven't done a very good job. And please don't ignore it. If you haven't walked down there, or come see me and I'll take you out on the boat what it looks like for all of you. And it shouldn't, the B&O shouldn't go to fund just for youth, because we have a lot of youth there right now that is using it. We got the Dragon Boat. Do you know that they practice 3 times a day, 356 days a year? Come on now, open your eyes, go down there, find out what the activities are besides what the senior center activity, what Brian Smith is trying to do with it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Munns.
The next comment is from Marita Ashley.
Ms. Ashley, please state your name and address and limit your comment to 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Marita Ashley at 1418 Rose Lane, Oak Harbor. Mayor Pro Tem, Council. I am currently a MAC member, so I'd like you to know my opinions are my own, not of the MAC. And I have been a tenant at the marina since 2017. And honestly, the marina is, as Beth said, it is a gem. I've gone to a lot of marinas in the Salish Sea here, and this is a good one. It's good because the staff here is excellent, and even as much repair as it needs, it's a good marina. We need action now. We're basically, as I'm sure you have all heard, we're about one good storm away from losing the marina because we'll lose the breakwater. When we lose it, well, it's gone. That's not okay. I also note that people are currently, because of the delays in making decisions about this, I am hearing more and more tenants talk about leaving, and specifically of the larger boat variety. They are looking for other marinas to go to because they are uncertain about the future of this marina. And I find that really disturbing. The more we lose, the fewer people are here to help support the marina's longevity. And that's hard to recover from. The failure of the marina, if we lose this, the cost is going to be borne not by, grants and levies and such, but it's going to have to come from the actual residents of Oak Harbor. And I don't see that as very equitable. If the B&O is passed, that is borne by a broad spectrum of people. People shop from all over this community. I live out in the county. I don't have someplace in the county that I can go to Home Depot for. That's right here in Oak Harbor. So I really strongly hope that you will look at the options for at least the 4 to 5 million area. It does not harm the smaller businesses, the mom and pops, as other people have said. It does impact the larger businesses, which I believe can afford, because the base for their business is much broader. It's not Oak Harbor. It is the entire county. And with that, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ashley.
Mayor Pro Tem, that concludes all those who signed up to speak.
Okay. Is there anyone present who did not have a chance to sign up before the meeting but wishes to make a comment at this time? Please state your name and address and limit your comment to 3 minutes.
Hello, my name's Jeff Ward. I live at 891 Southeast Jensen Street, a block that way. Sorry I did not sign up before. I just wanted to quickly say that I do not have a boat in the marina, but I personally have used the marina facilities in numerous ways. My son learned to sail there. My wife was part of the Dragon Boat team, and she dragged me out there on many of those days. And quite frankly, I walk along the water every single day and see the beautiful boats. My wife is also a small business owner, and I support whatever funding mix that this council comes up with. I can't pretend to believe that I know the details of what will be both best politically or economically for the city, but I do know that the marina shutting down will be a negative for the long-term health of the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak at this time? Okay. Thank you so much for being here and your participation, and for your patience. At this time, I am going to call a brief recess because this is probably going to be a long discussion. So we are going to take a 6-7 minute break, and then we will reconvene and get into it. Thank you. We'll give everyone a moment to get settled. Ready? Okay. Thank you. At this time, we are reconvening after a brief recess. We have just completed soliciting public comment about Ordinance 1998, the adoption of a business and occupation tax. So at this time, I will close the public hearing and turn to council for their questions, comments. David, thank you for the action plan. So my inclination is, because we have an interactive worksheet and some numbers, if there are council members who still have questions about specific numbers and/or want to play with the math on any individual scenario, then I would suggest that we go down the line and then we do that first, and then per David's recommendation, then we'll do the round robin and everyone will have a few minutes to state their case on the scenario that they want to support. But if we want to do any calculating before then now would be the opportunity to do so. Does anybody have any specific questions for David in terms of just the numbers and doing the math? Councilor Stuckey.
I do have a question related to the marina that's relevant, that isn't exactly about those scenarios, but I want to make sure I understand correctly. I was looking at the 25-26 budget, and I was looking at, it's got past years about marina revenues and whatnot. And it looks like the marina has been operating at a deficit. And obviously this is before any of this discussion, but it had 2026, the marina losing 551,000, 25 losing 280, 24 losing 490, 23 losing 865. Are we still planning on the marina losing money? Like, do we have a plan to stabilize that so the marina isn't losing money? If we go and we make these repairs, is it still going to be running in the red?
So to answer that question, a better view would be looking at the annual financial report, which I did show at the last meeting. Basically, when you're looking at the budget, you're looking only at one of the three funds that comprises the marina. A lot of that deficit that you see are really just transfers to the Marina Capital Project Fund in order to fund Marina Capital Project type things. I'm looking for that slide now because I have to figure out where I put it. Yeah. So. Try to dig that up.
That makes sense to me, but it was a question that someone posed to me as well that I wanted to make sure we had.
I totally get that. Let's see what I could find here.
Wait, hang on. Brian, were you gonna?
I could. David's explaining it, but the answer to your question is that's not correct. The marina operates into the good. We do have a surplus that goes into reserves, so reserves are transferred to a reserve fund, and that's what you're seeing there.
I think we're good. I think that answers the question.
Oh, all right. I have it, but okay, no problem. You're good. All right.
Thank you, Councilor Stuckey. Councilor Wittgenstein, do you or your adorable puppy have any questions about the actual numbers or want to mess with any of the math on the spreadsheet?
No, I have no interest in messing with any more numbers that have already been messed with. I think we're all about numbered out.
Okay. I have one question for David Goldman. Okay, sorry, two questions. The $410,000 a year set aside every year for 10 years, and I apologize, I didn't note like a page number, but basically, setting up a long-term savings account for future dredging, that $410 a year, where would that come from? Do we have the ability to set that aside? Would we need to make a plan separately for that?
Well, the first half of the exercise would be selecting what projects you want. So whether or not you want to do the set aside for the maintenance dredging, what breakwater level and what dredging you want to do, and then we talk about how to fund it. So that's just like, it's like a project, you know, you pick the dredging, you pick the breakwater, and you pick how you want to fund the maintenance dredging.
Okay, so I'm getting
And
ahead
then we
of
talk about ways to fund it. So it really depends on how you decide to fund the whole project.
Okay, thank you very much. And on the B&O sheet, let me find the one I was referencing. I apologize. I should have had that ready. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have the specific sheet in front of me, but basically the gross receipts, gross revenues, if I'm recalling off the top of my head, at the $4 million level, there was, it was something like $460 million in annual gross receipts. Am I interpreting that correctly? Does that mean like that those 29 businesses generate $460 million a year total amongst themselves? Yes, this is the slide.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's what the calculator shows.
Okay, so 29 businesses grossing $460 million a year. So that's, I think I did the math and it was, okay, those are all the math questions I have. So at this point, I will turn to council. Oh, do you have another math question?
Statement.
Yeah, if you don't, yeah, if we
Well, a statement for David.
oh, for David, okay.
Mr. Goldman, thank you for your diligence, professionalism, and exactness in doing this over weeks and months and years. So
Amen.
good on you. And with regard to the math, I'm good as far as that goes.
Councilor Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. David, can we see scenario 7, please?
There you go. There might be a delay, but it's on my screen. Is it up yet?
Seven
Is
is
it up
in the
yet?
packet.
And can you
Should
go
be on
to,
the screen.
can you go to the calculator portion of it, please?
Oh, yeah, right here. Yeah, got it.
So if we were to, can you also add in the reserve fund?
Reserve fund. Oh, you're talking about.
If we were to do the 410,000 reserve, can you add that in there, please?
But that's, if we did that, it would be the same as scenario 5, right? So let's just go there.
Okay, so let's go to 5.
No, scenario 6. Yeah, there you go. So scenario 6 is just like that. Yes, yes, yes. So that's the 410. Although this one is the B&O tax as opposed to the other stuff. But basically, we start out with 613,000, and then you just need to develop 1.47 million minus 613. I get my calculator here. Whatever that difference is, let's see here. 1,470 minus 613. You'd have to come up with $857,000 a year. And the quickest way to do it would be the B&O.
So just out of curiosity, can you add 1% to the B&O tax, or the utility tax?
Yeah, let me just get my calculator out. Hold on a second. How do I get this away? Stop sharing. All right. I'm gonna share a different screen now. All right. How do I share this? Share. All right. Here we go. All right. So let's put that same thing together. Yes. Put a yes there. All right. So we need to have 1.43. Just put it. I'm going to reset everything. There. Set that to 0. 5, 0. And I could put B&O. B&O here. 0. All right. So we need $817,000. So what would you like me to do to get that to work?
Go ahead and do the B&O at 5 million.
All right. 5 million. We need. Oh, we're good to go.
So, not to say that I don't believe those numbers, but the issue that I have with that is that leaves us basically $40,000 in reserves, or $40,000 over, but there is some cost to administer. There's administrative cost to collect and record and do that. And so, is $40,000 sufficient to do that?
It should be sufficient to do that, because it's only 29 business, and we've been just asking staff to work with those 29 businesses to get them up to speed, and then start collecting things, and we're going to try to go to an electronic payment system. There's a cost to that, we've been exploring those, but for only 29 businesses, it's probably easily be able to handle, with that $40,000. If we were to bring the threshold down to a lower amount, that would mean more businesses would be involved, and more communicating, with folks, and, helping them out and giving them the customer service they need to start this process up. It takes a lot of effort, and we don't have a lot of slack when it comes to the folks in finance. I mean, we're always pretty full with the stuff that we're working on. So at 26 or 30 businesses, it's something I think we can handle. But once it starts getting to a higher number, we have to start talking about like what are we actually going to need to administer this.
Okay, so can we look at scenario 4, please?
All right, let's come back to that one. This program scenario 4 in. So which one was that? Okay, oh, I see, $4 million. Scenario 4 was that. Oh, that's right, picked a different one here. I think this was a. That one? Yeah, that's this one, all right, so then what do we do? 100,000. And 140 here. Then we got, 40,000. All right, that's scenario 4.
Now, at what level is that utility tax?
Utility tax is at 0.4%.
And what if we were to raise that to, let's say, okay, so if you take the LTAC down to $25,000, what do we need to make up at that point?
We need about 9,500, so I think we'd just be able to do this. That would bring it up. Every 25,000 is 0.1, so that would be like a fraction. It would be 0.44%, something like that.
So we still have to have money to administer this, so it would have to go up a little bit more than that, right? Because we're just barely over at that point.
Yeah, so if you just go an even 25, that would be exactly 0.5%. That would give you an additional 15,000.
And do you believe that to be sufficient to administer it?
We have to figure out the software. I mean, it's only 29 businesses, so I think the staff, we can figure out how to handle that. But as far as the software goes, we have to figure out how that's handled. We did do some outreach, and I think that might be all right. It might go a little bit over, but I don't think it's going to be astronomical. As long as we don't have to bring on more staff, I think we should be able to be okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
We got it.
Councilor Arms?
Yeah, I just have a question about the lodging tax. Maybe Brian can answer it. Do we really qualify for that? And can we raise the number to like 35,000? I mean, since the marina is so important, maybe we could make up some of that money with increasing the lodging tax, because I mean, we can try, we can ask, we don't know. But what is the criteria, I guess, for the lodging tax? Do you know?
It's right here on the screen.
I'm just wondering what qualifies to get that money from the
So-
lodging tax.
I don't know if you could see the screen.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if there's
got
a
it
delay
now,
on.
thanks.
Oh, okay, cool. So there's 5 things that are permitted per the law. It has to be used for tourism marketing, has to be used for special events designed to attract tourists. Third one is operations or capital costs of tourism-related city facilities, including repayment of debt. And then that would be the one that this would qualify for. And then you have other things there too, as well. So, you know, and the fact that the marina, 51% of the tenants of the marina are from out of the city. And we know the mix, you know, we have people coming from outside of the state. Some are international. I mean, that would qualify for tourism for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Got it.
Is this a math question? Is a state your position? Both? Okay. Sure. Okay, so we've had a chance to play with the calculators in this scenario, so at this time I will turn to council and give everybody a few minutes to state their case in terms of which scenario they support and why, and ask any final questions. And I'll start with Councilor Stuckey.
Once more into the breach. So for me, I'm not willing, as one person, one vote, I'm not willing to entertain the options of a utility tax or a property tax. It's just me. It's not, I'm not going to have us unilaterally approve a utility tax or something like that and put it on everybody. So it really comes down to the existing debt of the $363,000, which is going to go away, that can be put towards it, the B&O, and a potential for LTAC. A lot of this hinges on the B&O, and the B&O is a really tough one because we've heard over the course of, I'd say, a year, but more so in the last 6 months, everybody who's spoken up here has kind of said something true on both sides. I mean, I keep putting the emphasis on prices aren't going to go up and businesses aren't going to leave the city. We know this because of the example I've used many times about buying an item here, buying an item in Bellingham. Bellingham has a B&O. We don't. There's going to be a mass exit of businesses? I don't think so. They're not going to go to the 53 cities that have a B&O tax. Someone's not going to choose to not open up a business here because of the 0.002. For those that are business owners, we already have a B&O tax to the state. That didn't cause everyone to make a mass exodus. So I don't believe that there will be a mass exodus of businesses or a giant increase in cost to anything, or any increase in cost, to be frank. If we don't do anything, the marina is going to fail, and the community is going to be angry for us for doing nothing. I float the idea of having to go out to a vote. Councilmember Heisen had a good point of why are we asking the community to vote on a B&O tax that affects 26 businesses, which is also, as much as we like the backup of saying the voters said to do it, because that gives us the safe out as politicians. I love that, but I understand the impracticality of it. To Councilmember Marshall's point, who seems to be the anti-B&O guy, and I was the anti-B&O guy last year. I mean, I scuttled that hard. Is it really fair to have 26 businesses bear the responsibility on the marina? If we don't have a for sure plan of the B&O tax, is it really good government to just collect it to say that we can? I mean, these are all, every single one of those statements I feel is pretty valid. So it's a really difficult decision regarding the B&O tax. And while we want to make everybody happy, we know no matter what, we're going to get one of two comments. We're going to get the, yep, of course the council voted yes. They're greedy. They just want the money. Of course, you know, it's just the council, same old, same old. There's that one side. Or, well, they don't care about the marina at all and they let this gem go to waste. There is no win scenario. There is no win. You hope that you do the better for the most amount of people. I mean, just looking today at the comments, there were 11 for, 2 against. Now, naturally, if you were looking at our old surveys, you'd say more people are for saving the marina and the B&O tax, because naturally you're going to have people that utilize the marina are more likely to come. I understand that. The folks that are on the social media who are all the naysayers, they've put in some comments, but they haven't mobilized in force. They haven't taken the extra step to send in that email, which I always wish and would love that they would do. So now with that soapbox speech, option 6. Can you pull up option 6? For us,
Okay. The details of it, right?
Yep. That would probably be the scenario I would be most likely to go for. It doesn't touch utilities. A Port District one day, awesome, but that's a big if. I would even have no issue with entertaining an idea of a lodging tax later, not having it on here, but the city can apply for an LTAC grant that can be used to build up the reserve, or it can be used to offset the B&O tax. Because let's be honest, when we get into it with the recreation center, we're going to want to go to the well again, so I can live with B&O tax. I can live with scenario 6, knowing that we're still going to get a ton of flack for it. But if I were to vote, that would be my vote.
Thank you, Councilor Stuckey. Councilmember Arms.
Yeah, it is a difficult decision, but, and as much as I've spent down at the marina, I've seen a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of kids, and I've seen a lot of people, especially when we put the fingerlings in, and they were watching them being released. I saw so many people down there, and to lose an asset, we are trying everything to bring things back to the marina so that more people will use it and it will be more advantageous for the city. So I'm going to go with Councilmember Stuckey, and I'm going for number 6 also. And as you said, we can always try to put in for a lodging tax and see where we're going to get.
That's it?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Arms. Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Before I get into my selection, I just want to state, I'd like to address any concerns regarding perception of a conflict of interest related to my role in discussions about the proposed B&O tax.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have given you an opportunity to do that at the beginning.
That's okay.
Thank you.
And my employment with the Oak Harbor Chamber of Commerce. My opposition to the proposed tax as it has been presented thus far is based on 2 key principles. In my personal experience as a small business owner, and my firm belief that it is not equitable for a small group of businesses to bear the financial burden of marina repairs or, as in earlier proposals, of public safety services, namely in the addition of police officers, through a targeted tax. The Oak Harbor Chamber of Commerce has not taken an official position on the proposed B&O taxes and has not engaged in any formal discussion with its members on the matter. I remain committed to transparency and to separating my responsibilities as a public servant from my role with the Chamber. So, and I have consulted with our city attorney, and she does not see a conflict of interest in this particular matter. And I spoke with Mr. Cesar yesterday to explain my position. At this particular time, I am in support of scenario 7. I could be in support, I suppose, of scenario 4, as we just worked out with Mr. Goldman. But the reason why I support scenario 7 is if this truly is a community asset, as it's been argued, right? The marina, I don't think any of us want to see the marina closed. If it is truly a community asset, then the community should be the ones that pay for it. And a 1% utility tax increase is, as Mr. Goldman showed, an average of $2 a month in increase. Even with that $2 a month increase, we are still significantly less on utility taxes than we were even in 2022. It also puts some of the responsibility on the end users. Those that take the most benefit from the marina are, they have an increased cost that goes along with that. My argument for this, and this does not include the $410,000 savings, which I do believe to be important, But I think we have discussed this as a council, that our end goal is a port district or a metropolitan park district or some other funding mechanism, because we've seen no matter what scenario we choose, there is no plan, there is no money for phase two. We could do scenario one, and that is to the extreme, and still it falls significantly short to being able to fund phase two. So in order to get to phase two, we have to go to the public. We have to have one of these other scenarios. So, and we've heard from Mr. Goldman numerous times that whatever we invest in the marina right now is not going to be absorbed by that new entity. So whatever our investment is now, that's our cost. We're going to have to eat that cost. And it's a worthy investment into a community asset, but we might as well minimize how much we're putting into it if that's our end goal within the next couple of years to create that. And so my thought process is this allows us the at least 2 years. My suggestion would be we invest in it, we take care of the immediate need, which is dredging, looking at addressing the breakwater. But then that buys us time to really look at the expansion of a port district, the creation of a new port district, the creation of an MPD. Those are all possible funding mechanisms for not only the remainder of the dredging, but also phase two, and ultimately, hopefully, a rec center or some other means of economic development for our community. Because if we go with the B&O tax right now, that money is going to be obligated to paying off our debt service. And so we won't have that money for 20 years if we bond it out, unless we are able to get grants and such. So at this particular time, I support scenario 7 with the community supporting the marina and the end users supporting it, and it is getting some money from the LTAC committee. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marshall. Mr. Goldman, would you mind putting scenario 7 back on the details of scenario 7 back on the screen? It's not in our packets.
Okay, my mic's still on, good. Oh, yeah, scenarios, oh boy, where is it? Sorry about that. Why do you keep doing that? Scenario 7. It's the minimum dredging, the breakwater repair and renovations, not the replacement, but the lower one. And then not putting money aside for the like not putting a reserve aside for the maintenance dredging, and then I guess figuring out down the road. And as far as phase 2 goes, I just defaulted to the option 1 for phase 2 because I didn't know if we were really going to talk about that. But of course, if the option for phase 2 was option 2 instead of option 1, then it's possible scenario 1 and 2, might be able to cover that. But anyway, that's just food for thought. Anyhow, so this is the details on the project selection, and then the math. So the math, I put this together. It has no B&O, but it does have a different, a mix of different types of revenue here. You have the utility tax of the 1%. You got the additional dredging fee at an increase of 11% over where the overall rates are going to be in October, and then a lodging tax at a $25,000 level. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Councilor Merrow?
Does Councilmember Wittgenstein want to speak?
Councilmember Wittgenstein, do you have your hand up?
I will absolutely take a turn.
Go for it.
Good evening. Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, and yes, David, thank you for all the hard work that your team and your staff and all the others that have supported this process to get us to where we're at today, and the clear-cut directions on what directions we can take going forward in order to get to a final decision on this. I'm struggling with any kind of tax. The B&O wise, I'm not sure on these utility taxes. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, especially the citizens. You want to save the marina. You want to make sure it's there for generations to come and continue to grow and support our community and our economic development of this community and the vitality that it has for us. Then get this committee together to get this port district going or expansion or this other thing, because we as elected officials can't do that for you. You have to do that yourselves. coming here for a year. I've been on the council now for a couple of years, and we've heard a lot about the marina, and it's in dire straits and all this. And all we can financially do within our capabilities is to Band-Aid it again. We can't go any bigger or any of that. So what's the prudent choices here? If I'm really thinking long and hard about the long-term community that I care so much about and the generations that are yet to come, why would I vote yes that's going to do anything that's going to saddle them with a debt and burden of a capital project that they're going to have to figure out to maintain and pay for as we go on in the future? I just don't know. And as for dressing, the marina was built by the Navy. The destruction of the harbor was done by the military. I'm all pro-military. I served as well. And I'm all for their programs of restoring shorelines and bringing back places that need to be brought back to their natural habitats. So I believe there's avenues and revenues sources out that way to at least remove the marina if we absolutely have to. So I'm not in favor of any of the scenarios at this point in time, and thank you for my soapbox.
Thank you, Councilor Wittgenstein. All right, Councilor Merrow, your turn.
So I've been tactically thinking about being the last so I could kind of take in the positions of the other council members. But that doesn't mean I haven't been thinking independently as well. So the baseline assumptions that I'm operating on is that the marina serves the greater Oak Harbor area, and that my position is that it cannot be allowed to fail because it would be a failure, in my opinion, of government, and we would then have not Oak Harbor, we would have Oak Mudflat. So, though there's many people who don't use the boats and they don't use that facility, the truth of the matter is all those beautiful homes on the cliffside, they'll be able to look at the mud flat, and all the people that are clam diggers, I guess, or something to that effect. So, so with that assumption, to keep it, the question is how to keep it. And of course, the phase one, I'm set upon. The phase two is distant. I mean, we're trying to get over these hurdles sequentially, but the truth be known is that no matter what we do, everything has a service life, and that would be true for the breakwater, and that's the docks, and countless other things. So the assumption that we can somehow just do a one and done is just completely unrealistic. And then there's the financial piece. I was down on FDOC, and there was a man and his wife and their dog, and they were just walking along, and I said to them, can you tell me about this this breakwater? And the man lit up like a light bulb. I mean, he said, well, I've been I'm a retired Navy senior officer, and I've been doing maritime stuff and he said this, and I wasn't prompting him, he just turned to me, you all have a gem here. He said, this breakwater is well designed. And I started thinking about my physics, of which I had some background in college, and I started to realize that a flat breakwater is not going to break waves as well as one that notches, and I just generically, but I was alarmed because I had heard so much trouble about maintaining the breakwater. But then I remembered that in construction, frequently contractors will bid out a plan, but the fasteners, for instance, this has just been an illustration, might be have a service life of 20 years, whereas the structure itself might last 50 years. But if the fasteners fail, okay, so what I'm trying to describe is that I think that replacing the breakwater is unwise. But I think that a renovation of it with careful quality assurance and design of the improvements on it, it could last for a good many years. And so I would not be in favor of a new breakwater. And with regard to the dredging, the minimum dredging is still going to be good for 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong? 10 to 13. So, if we did a 10-year minimum dredge and then maybe a reserve fund for the dredging. So many words to say that starting from scratch is both unwise and uneconomical and not necessary. And I think in all likelihood, probably scenario 7 or scenario 6 or some variation of them, but I'm not committing to either one of them in particular right now. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Councilor Merrow. I'll take my turn and then we'll go back around for round two. I approach this very much in the same way as Councilor Marrow is, it cannot be allowed to fail. How do we keep it? Somebody has to pay for it. So what are our options? We have property owners, we have utility customers, we have the marina tenants, and then we have the business, the B&O. And so in terms of being equitable and, as Councilor Stuckey said, trying to do the most good for the greatest number of people at the minimum impact to those people, we've done the math, having the marina tenants who, for the lifetime of the marina, have shouldered the entire financial responsibility of keeping things up and running, doing the math in order to make that pencil out to raise the funding that we need for capital improvements, it's just not mathematically realistic. We can't charge $800-900 a month for that's just, that doesn't work. They won't be there, and then there will be no money raised. So I think that in terms of the fact that the people that use the marina most have thus far been responsible for all of the maintenance and operations, I think that's a fair arrangement. But when it comes to things like big capital improvements, then we need to start getting creative. So then we have, utility customers and or property owners, some of whom benefit from the marina being there. I do think it is a community asset. But I'm in agreement with Councilor Stuckey. I'm uncomfortable with asking utility ratepayers and or property owners, just because they happen to be in the city limits, to shoulder that responsibility, especially because most of the marina users come from outside of city limits. So that leaves us with the businesses. And and while the statement about requiring a small number of businesses to shoulder the financial responsibility of maintaining a community asset, theoretically and on its face, yes, that is an accurate statement about, if you take that at face value, wouldn't necessarily be fair. But then we're talking about businesses that are generating hundreds of millions of dollars. This isn't the business that managed to collect $6 million and that we're going after here. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in gross receipts or revenue, whatever the word is. And so I'm taking that into account, along with the fact that while we don't know who those businesses are specifically, we can make some reasonable deductions about who several of them might be. And we know, as a couple of people who submitted public comments pointed out, that those businesses directly benefit from the boating population and the people who stop at the marina. I've just one example. Literally last weekend, when my sweetie was doing a boat project, I want to say it was 6 trips to various hardware stores, but it might have been 5. I don't want to be accused of exaggerating, but it was at least 5. One boat project, one Saturday. And so if that boat didn't exist, none of those transactions would have happened. And so I think that the minuscule, in the scheme of things, hit that a business might take in the form of a B&O tax would pale in comparison to the financial hit that they would take if all of those boat owners weren't there going to the hardware store 5 times every weekend. That would be a massive financial hit. And I'm sure that if given the option, would you rather have all of these people with boat projects, or would you rather have this B&O tax? I'm guessing, and I'm just hypothesizing here, I'm guessing that they'd probably rather have the revenue from the people that require all of those supplies for their boat projects. So in my mind, to me, that is how I am justifying the fact that it's not inequitable, that it is equitable. I don't want to use a double negative. So that's how I work it out personally in terms of fairness. We've got the logistics involved with, levy lid lifts or I think we're complicating something when there's a pretty obvious and relatively painless solution out there. I do think that when it comes to the level of repair that we're going to be doing in terms of phase 1 and phase 2, absolutely, marina rates are gonna have to go up. They're gonna have to. But I think that needs to be a realistic number, adding another 35% on top of whatever is, in the end, the tenants will leave and then there won't be a pot of money there. So we need to be realistic about that. I'm also just this recent, tsunami, someone called it non-event, that happened. I'm cognizant of that because, I saw a headline about a California marina that sustained $1 million worth of damage. And I thought, what if that was us? I mean, that could be the day, that $1 million worth of damage. What would we do? Because as many have pointed out, we are one bad weather event away from losing our breakwater and or one claim away from losing our insurance that helps us fix things after these weather events. And so for us to have an opportunity to secure a funding source just that allows us to borrow to do repairs in case we need to, in case of a weather event or something, in these times of economic uncertainty, federal funding uncertainty, state funding uncertainty, climate uncertainty, to have the ability to line up a potential funding source just to allow us to borrow money to do repairs, to me, it would be irresponsible not to take that opportunity. So these are all of the things that have been rattling around in my head for the last however long, and my internal mode of thinking and how I'm justifying that a B&O tax at a high level, and I'm talking like 4 million or up. It's not the mom and pop stores that I think need to shoulder the burden, but the businesses that we can demonstrate benefit from the marina being there. And as someone rightly pointed out, if we do have to decommission the marina, that's something that everybody's going to have to pay for, and it within city limits, and that's not fair. It's not fair to make the people in city limits shoulder the responsibility for something that benefits the region. So that is my thinking. And for all of those reasons, scenario 6, I'm in agreement with. Let's see, I think it was, Stuckey and Arms that expressed support for scenario 6. Sorry, I didn't write that down, Andy. Scenario 6. So, LTAC, that's great. Port District, absolutely. Thank you, Councilor Wittgenstein, for your very impassioned soapbox moment about what we really need to do if we want to save the marina is get a committee formed and start aggressively promoting the potential for a Port District or Metropolitan Port District. I'm leaning Port District, but to me, that is the major solution, and that is the thing that we need to really start putting a lot of our time and energy and resources towards doing. And like Chris said, our ability to do that as council people is limited. So, but the citizens, that's something that we as a community can get together and do. So I'm in favor of pursuing all reasonable options. But the LTAC, it's not guaranteed. We can apply for it. If we get it, great. And if we get a port, great. But in the meantime, I think it was Councilmember Marshall pointed out, we need to do something to buy us time. We need to do something to, I don't know, put on the Band-Aid between now and then. And as much as I would love to have everything lined up perfectly about the phases and the permitting and knowing what comes next, unfortunately, that's just not the case in this situation. And so we have to do something in a way that's responsible. And to me, scenario 6 feels like the most responsible. I think that is.
So I've been taking that.
Everything I have, yes.
I was just saying, I've been taking notes, so I heard scenario 4, 6, and 7 mentioned by the council, by various council members.
Me too. That's what I've got as well. David, is there
So
anything
because-
that we are, like, anything obvious that we're missing that you want to point out before we go for round 2 of comments?
Because the B&O is an ordinance, it requires 4 votes of council. Like the mayor, even the mayor would not be able to break that tie, so it requires 4 votes of council. Utility tax is also an ordinance that requires 4 votes. The lodging tax is, I don't think that requires the 4 votes. I think it just requires a majority. And then the dredging fee is just all it is a master fee schedule, so that could also just require a majority with the mayor breaking that tie. So anyway, that's just a little bit of guidance on the votes.
Thank you. And Councilmember Arms, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, one of the things, I know we're talking about the community, but one of the things that I'm hoping that we can start rapidly is looking at a port district and hopefully putting it on the ballot in like February or March when the school district and ICOM put their ballot out. And so hopefully we can work on that rapidly to get it out, which would give us an understanding of where the community is and what we can do. So that's my thing, because we have to do something. We can't keep pushing the can down the road. We may not like our decision, but we have no other option. Otherwise, we'll lose it. But I think we need to rapidly start putting together a plan for the port.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes it's not a matter of picking the best idea, it's the least worst idea. Counselor Stuckey.
Let me just say which I appreciate seeing next to you, Eric. No, I legitimately do. If I were to sit and look at the 3.5 plus years we've been up here, which is not long compared to Councilmember Heisen, I think we vote opposite more than anybody else. And the great thing is, I still consider you a friend, and if I was a beer drinker, I'd go grab one with you after this. And we need that on the national level. I know we're just little city council here, but I love your perspective. I love that you and I can hash it out here, and then when we're done, we're done.
100%.
So I do have a question for you with your logic, because you make some good points. But in regards to the B&O, you've been a business owner. I am a business owner, so we know how it goes. And so from that perspective, let's say I managed a restaurant. I have managed restaurants. I mean, you're working on like a 3 to 5% profit margin. They're pretty darn razor slim. And if we were talking about a B&O tax of 1%, I would say, well, 1% on gross, if I make 3%, that's a third of my income take home that's going away. That's not quite the scenario here. So just the math. I know you know the math. I'm just doing this for the public. Let's say I have a business that grosses $7 million. And we did the $5 million. Well, the first $5 million doesn't go towards anything. I'm not paying B&O tax on the first $5 million. I'm only paying B&O tax on the $2 million above that. And that's assuming that I've claimed 0 deductions. And there are a lot of deductions, which also concerns me a little bit as far as an accurate number. But that's assuming I can claim no deductions. On all of that gross income, I'm paying $4,000 a year. Do you think that $4,000, let's say I'm not a big box store, I own a construction company. Do you think that $4,000 a year is seriously impacting me in an overly negative way where I wouldn't be able to afford this, or I have to make giant changes in my operations? Or is this more of a principle issue, more about the principle of it?
No, I appreciate the question. I don't believe in that particular scenario that would be it would be detriment to the business. When looking at the scenarios that we were provided previously, and Mr. Goldman can probably pull this up, the maximum that one of these businesses is going to spend in additional annual taxes is $135,000 or $130,000. In that scenario, yes, that scenario, it could be a detriment to a business. And particularly, we've talked about, we don't know what these 26 businesses are. and it's been suggested that most of them are retail, but they're not all retail. They're not all chains. These are all there are locally owned businesses that don't necessarily have to be in Oak Harbor to operate. So we have 52 municipalities out of 281 in the entire state that have a B&O tax. There's a lot of other places within the state that they could move. And then what do we lose as a community? I've talked about before unintended consequences. What do we lose in sales tax at that point? What do we lose in labor? What do we lose in opportunity? When we're trying to attract new businesses here, and we have a B&O tax that we're going to put on a business that when Anacortes doesn't or Mount Vernon doesn't, they could go to one of these other places. We're not ideally located because we're not on the interstate. We don't have, a commercial airport. We don't have train. So when you're looking at where you're going to locate, would you locate to a community where you could potentially pay an additional $138,871 in B&O tax, or would you move to a community where you're going to be able to save that money and then have the additional benefits of an I-5 corridor, a potential train and such? And so that's where I look to. I look to the higher end and what potentially that impact could be on some of these businesses that do I think Home Depot is going to pick up and leave? Absolutely not. Do I think Walmart's going to pick up and leave? No. But some of these other locally owned businesses that are not them, that don't have to be here, yes, I think that could impact us as a community.
David, could you math this a little bit for me? To his point, the maximum there, the 138,871. How much would that business have to gross to pay that?
All right, let's see what we got going on here. So, real quick, it's probably maybe over 70 million or something like that. Let me just double check that there. So just do that. So that's 0.002. No, I think 75 million or something like that. Yeah, but the first 5 million is exempt, right? Yeah, that's 75 million.
75. So I grant you that if I'm making that and I'm losing, or let's say I'm even an established business and I get that, I might cut someone's hours here and there, a couple hours. I'm not going to say that the impact's zero. I'll grant you that. I would say it's minimal. I personally talked to 3 business owners that fall in that 5 million plus. 2 of them, which were more construction related, didn't give a hoot. Their argument was, if I'm doing a project in Oak Harbor and I have an Oak Harbor headquarters, I'm paying the B&O tax. If I'm an Anacortes business doing work here, do they not still pay that B&O tax? It's not where their headquarters, it's where the work is done. Is that not correct? Is it where the work's done or where your headquarters are at? This individual thought was where the work was done.
I mean, it would be relevant to the destination, I believe.
So where the work
because
is.
There are businesses that are located in more than one jurisdiction, and we have to, by law, we have to put in a form for them to kind of split where they earned their money, so where they grossed it. So yeah.
Because there's always the concern of, hey, that outside business could bid for the same, for example, city contract that our current business is and maybe lose out because of that 0.002, which I think is a big distinction, 0.002. I just, if I was some major business grossing $70 million, first of all, to be blunt, I wouldn't come to Oak Harbor for the reasons you listed. We're off the I-5, things like that. If I thought that this island was very ripe for this particular niche business that I think I could gross that much, I think this is where we just disagree on philosophy, where I don't think that would be the make or break. Would that be 0.002% of my decision? Probably. But I don't think that would be a 10% swing between here and Anacortes. I probably would go to Anacortes just because it's not as far off the I-5 and it's quicker to go to. And that 20-minute drive, if I'm on the I-5, would save me more than the B&O tax. So appreciate your thoughts, understand your thoughts. I don't like going for B&O tax. I was against the B&O tax last year. I was probably against the B&O tax till about a month or 2 ago. I don't like it now. But I'll take it over raising utility tax on everybody, and I'll take it over a property tax. And with the Port District, again, those are ifs and maybes. With the MPD, that's an if or maybe. The only thing I like about those is it does give us an exact vote on how many people are for it. I do like that, but that's a lot of work to even get that on the ballot. So there's a lot of ifs, a lot of maybes. So I'm still with, I'm still with option 6. I don't like it, but that's the best of the worst options, in my opinion.
Thank you, Counselor Stuckey. Counselor Wittgenstein, before I go back to Counselor Merrow, do you have anything to add? So make sure I give everybody equal opportunity to speak. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Counselor Merrow, did you have any additional comments?
I was going to echo Jim Wiesner's comment, Councilmember Wiesner's comment the other day when he noted that trying to attract business and industry, especially what I would call smaller business and industry or even larger that's clean, what do you call it, light business and industry onto the island is a very hard thing to do. And by having a municipal B&O tax, I can assure you that that would weigh against anybody relocating here, because we are trying to develop into a vibrant city, right? and so that we don't have to look to Anacortes and look at the rich kids up on the hill in Anacortes and say, wish we were like them, even though they have fewer people than we do. But in any case, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Councilmember Merrow. Okay, at this time, I would ask if there are any further comments, questions. I would entertain a motion. David had the draft of the next.
Yeah, the draft of the motion. I mean, it looks like scenario 6 has the most people saying they could possibly support it.
Stomach it.
Scenario 6 is the B&O at the 5 million.
Stomach, yeah.
So
for the next steps B&O
anyway,
slide, where you fill in the blanks.
it would be $5 million if scenario 6 is what the council decides. Yeah.
So in terms of if someone were to make a motion, the forming of said motion, would scenario 6, the language, be okay, or do you want us to use the language?
I would just read off. I would read that off, and the first blank is 5 million, and the second blank is per quarter, so that it just happened. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, 5 million, Tim, and then 5 million divided by 4 is 1.25 million.
The 1.25 per quarter, okay. All right, thank you. Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you. Councilmember Stuckey makes some very compelling arguments, and I appreciate that. And I guess I would encourage council, if we are going to go with a B&O tax, which, in all fairness, it sounds like that's the direction, then my recommendation is that we go for the full thing then. I mean, if we're going to repair the marina, and if we think that a port district or an MPD is not a very realistic possibility, then let's fund this thing at its maximum. Let's do what we had initially said that we were going to do, and do a full dredge, a breakwater repair and renovation, and put money away for the reserves. I mean, if we're going to bite this bullet, if we're going to make this difficult step, then let's do it right. That was the whole reason behind tabling this in the first place, is so we can look at all these scenarios. But if we're only going to do this, if we're going to hold our nose and do it, and we're only going to do a halfway job, that's not what, in my opinion, the best way to go about this. Scenario 5 is at the $4 million level, but it does the full dredge, the maximum dredging. It is the breakwater repair and renovation. It is putting money away for the reserves. So now we are planning for the future. We are doing everything that to its fullest capacity. Does it include a utility tax? Yeah, at 20 cents a person. I mean, I think that's sustainable to the same argument, right? 20 cents a person, they can stomach that, okay? And it puts some of the onus, it spreads it out over everybody. Utility tax, B&O tax, there's some marine dredging fee increases, so end users are using it, and then there's an LTAC portion of it. So it is multiple funding, but it is doing what we really need to do. If we're gonna do this, if we're gonna bite this bullet, then let's do it at its maximum and do it right the first time, and not have to come back in 2 years and go, we need to do more dredging, we need to do, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. Let's do it right.
nickel and
You know,
diming it.
and so I would argue then that if we're gonna go for it, go for scenario 5 and do it at its best.
So scenario 5, as presented, has the B&O tax at the $4 million level. Okay, just so your proposal, so to speak, would be scenario 5 as presented. Okay, so assuming the 30,000 for LTAC, let's see, the dredging fee and the utility at 20 cents. Okay, I would support that. Counselor Stuckey.
I'll see your 30,000 and raise your nut. All right, here's my thought. Boy, you're good. Okay. Tonight, we're voting on a B&O tax and giving direction for a scenario. We're not committed to that scenario.
Correct.
I still have a problem with the utility tax of 20 cents, and I'll admit that's principle for me. 20 cents is not, that's principle. But I'm not going to try to say 20 cents is making, sorry to all the people who are going to have an issue with that. We're talking on the Whidbey Island Camino, I'm the chair of the Whidbey Island Camino Tourism Board. And we're restructuring things because a lot of the municipalities are talking about keeping some more of their money, not giving so much money to the tourism board so that they can improve their infrastructure. When people are going for LTAC grants, people tend to go for events. It's easy to say, I did X event, that brought X amount of people into the hotels. It's very clean. It's very easy. It's very, my favorite word, tangible. What's not so fun is, let's put some money into some restrooms downtown. Still a valid LTAC grant, maybe more valid in some ways, but it doesn't get you that exact heads and beds, which the argument is what it's for. On the one hand, the LTAC, that grant, there's zero chance that LTAC grant can come through. In which case, now that 30,000 on the utility tax becomes 55,000. Now we're talking 45 cents. Still principle, but we're just acknowledging that when we're talking double. I personally like the B&O tax. I'm okay with pursuing scenario 5 while going for 55,000 for the lodging tax to eliminate that utility tax aspect. Now, we may not get that. I understand the hurdles. Being the LTAC chair, it's going to be difficult to get people on the LTAC committee to vote to have less money for these events, but more money go towards the marina. That's going to be a bit of a sell. But I would rather, if we're going to do scenario 5, I would rather try to have it go to the lodging tax exclusively, that 55,000. And if that works, I'm all for scenario 5. If it didn't work, I'd want to revert to scenario 6. And the LTAC, at least the initial LTAC cycle is happening here in a couple months. Now, if we're going to do a multi-year, hopefully we could do a multi-year, because again, we would have to apply for this, even on the multi-year, every 3 years. I mean, we got to get this approval every 3 years. So the LTAC it's a gamble. But if it's a gamble that would be successful, I mean, that's what the marina does. I mean, a lot of it is bringing in tourism. I mean, that's kind of what the LTAC fund is for, but it is a gamble. Is it guaranteed or not? So I'm with you on 5 with the option to revert to 6 if it did not go through. Because again, we're going to have to apply for that every 3 years at a minimum. So.
Thank you, Counselor Stuckey. Counselor Arms.
Regarding the LTAC, now I don't know how it's working so far. We do have the on-call system for the marina, which hopefully will give us...
On-call system?
Yeah, it's the on-call bus system.
Oh, for the transit.
For the transit. And it's just kind of started. There's a little hiccups, but it might give us a better look at people that are coming in and knowing that they can go someplace else besides just sitting in their boat, maybe getting to go downtown. So, and we do have the bikes down there. So we are starting that. That might help with the LTAC because we're starting it. Yeah, it could. But we have had somebody use that because they wanted to go to the Cookville Festival. And so they put their boat in there and went to Cookville and had a good time and came home. But, you know, we are promoting this kind of stuff. So hopefully that will help with that. We're hoping. We'll see. We're working on it.
You have a question about the LTAC?
Hey, Wendy, with the LTAC, and maybe either you or David Goldman, is the suggestion that LTAC committee could allow that to be one of the recipients? Can that be wrapped up into a long-term thing like the Whidbey Island Community of Tourism, or is this something that's going to have to be applied from the city on a regular basis?
I think that is something that we would have to research a little bit more, but I was thinking along the same lines that it might be a possibility.
Because, and by no means am I saying let's not make a decision based on that. We need to make a decision tonight. But that is something to consider. I mean, if it would be nice if it could be wrapped up into something like we have with Whidbey Community Island Tourism, where it's just a contract through the perpetuity of this, as opposed to having to reapply every few years.
I was thinking, when you were saying every 3 years, thinking, I mean, there's nothing in state law that says, you know, we're limited to a 3-year term. You know, it's just something that we self-impose. You know, we can definitely explore that for sure. I mean, we have it for Whidbey Island Tourism. We can definitely explore it for this as well. You know.
Okay. Regarding the LTAC, I think that while applying for it is a good idea, I think that it would be a mistake to rely on it or assume that would come through. I think that would be nice to have the extra LTAC funds, but the inclusion of it to me wouldn't make or break the decision. And I appreciate Councilor Stuckey's principles, but also I wouldn't sink a vote for scenario 4 based on 20 cents. So you know, I don't like it, but would I sink a vote over 20 cents a household? Like, no, I wouldn't either. So at this time, I would entertain a motion. If someone wants to make a motion with some parameters, then we can go ahead and vote on that.
The B&O tax is what's being
The B&O tax. Correct, yes, we're not proposing a scenario, we are proposing, so yes, that the motion would be ordinance 1998 regarding just the B&O tax amount at this time. The scenario is just an example to help us with the bigger picture. Since we've gone around everyone else several times, I just wanted to make sure Chris didn't have.
Yeah, real quick, I'm still on with where I'm gonna vote, but again, I was gonna get to this point too, like, we're talking in circles again about scenarios when really what's on the table is a motion about a B&O tax, and I would encourage us let's just make one and see where it lands.
Are you volunteering?
And I'll make it if you want. I'll still vote my way. That one, yeah.
Councilor Arms?
You ready for the motion? Motion to approve ordinance number 1998, amending Title III of the Oak Harbor Municipal Code to add a new chapter 3.98 pertaining to the adoption of a local business and occupational tax with a gross receipt threshold of $4 million per annum and $1 million per quarter, with the effective date of October 1, 2025. You want to read the second half?
Nope. Nope, that's all we need.
Okay.
I'll second that. So we have a motion from Counselor Arms to adopt ordinance number 1998, adoption of a business and occupation tax, with the thresholds being 4 million per annum gross receipts and 1 million per quarter, with an effective date of October 1st, 2025. Seconded by myself. Any further comments, questions? Counselor Stuckey.
So just to confirm, this changes the amount of businesses affected from 26 to 29? Is that?
Correct. That's an estimate.
Sure.
We're going to know when they actually pull out the returns, and they have exemptions, deductions. So we'll know when we get the returns.
And even though it affects 2 more businesses, it does still affect all the existing businesses more because they're paying the B&O on the additional $1 million.
Yeah, that's exactly where most of the 58,000 additional money is coming from, the existing 26 businesses.
And I'm looking at the local business and occupation tax rates with all the municipalities that have it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the ones that have the highest threshold, there's one that has a threshold of $1,040,000 and 2 that have a threshold of $1 million. So we're $3 million above the lowest threshold. The only reason why that concerns me a little bit is I'm okay with it for now, and we're one council. We don't know what's the procedure, because I don't want it to happen. Then all of a sudden, ooh, that's not enough. Let's change the threshold to 3 million. And then years down the line, ooh, that's not enough. Let's change the threshold to 1 million. What's the process? I mean, are there some safeguards as far as changing the amount in the future?
That's a good question.
It's the same process. We'd have to have 14 meetings. No, I'm kidding. It would have to go to City Council and, sorry about that. It would have to go to City Council, the same process. We'd have to, amend Title III, blah, 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 and then change the number. So it's not an easy process. It's a process, just like it is now. And, there's something to be said about being a trailblazer. I know all the others are $1 million. By the way, the one that has $1,040,000, it was $1 million last year, so the 40,000 must be some kind of inflation factor. I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, we would be, we would be the highest one in the state. But nothing wrong with being a trailblazer.
I almost want the 14 meeting requirement just because I don't want it to keep going to the well. Oh, that was easy. Let's just 2 million more.
This was easy?
I still know my vote. Well, but it's not going to affect my vote. I want out there that my concern, of course, is in the future that threshold could keep lowering and keep affecting more businesses. And I think it's going to be easier to do that now that we've started it. So it is a concern.
Your concern is well taken. Thank you, Counselor Stuckey. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Ordinance 1998, Title III, threshold of 4 million, effective October 1st, 2025. Any further comments, questions before I call for a vote? Mero, did you have your hand up?
With regard to this motion, there are so many factors that are involved in it that we are all taking a stand, and I wanted to state that I'm well aware of the realities of the political dynamics of all of this, and I resolved in my mind that tonight the decision would be made, because I was a tiebreaker. I mean, I could have been a tiebreaker before, or whatever, could have made the vote last time. So the details we don't know precisely, but in principle, I strongly support this motion, and I favor to vote for it.
Thank you, Counselor Mero. Yeah, it is whatever that you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time thing. Yeah, so sometimes the art of leadership lies in compromise, for sure. Counselor Stuckey. All right, one more shot, Counselor Stuckey, and then I'm calling for a vote.
I'm not changing anything. I'm just asking. Well, maybe I would. Is the October 1st, is that enough time? I mean, while I understand every month we delay is another tens of thousands of not collecting the revenue, but is that enough time to get all of those businesses on board, to get our staff on board? I mean, we're talking 6 weeks.
If you look in the details of the ordinance, and this was present in the original one from I think maybe a year ago or so, there is a 6-month delay or 7-month delay between when it took effect and when we actually would start to collect the money. So I continued that extension. So basically, you have to give them 30 days. So today's August 6th. So we're not going to start in the middle of the month. I mean, that's too much to ask a business to split their books in the middle. I mean, it's going to be hard. So we start at the beginning of the very next month, which happens to be the beginning of the fourth quarter. So the fourth quarter happens, and then the first quarter happens of the following year. And then we say, now's the time to pay. You have 30 days after the end of the first quarter to pay for those first 2 quarters, and then after that, it's quarterly. So 7 months will be enough time to get things set up with all the outreach we're going to be doing, with looking at the different software out there, picking the brains of the different cities that have this, and putting something together to make sure. Matter of fact, I already put together a program that I was going to roll out, but I kind of put it on pause for this with my staff that we're going to be able to just move forward with and get everything all set. So it's not a problem.
Hey, what time is it where you are, Mr. Goldman? Are you in another time zone?
Well,
Oh, okay.
I'm in the twilight zone here.
We're not
There's
keeping
big
you up
mountains
too
here.
late. All right.
No, it's Wenatchee. Yeah, everything's cool.
Thank you. At this
Little bit
time, I will call for a vote on ordinance 1998. All those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And any opposed? Counselor Wittgenstein is opposed, so that passes 5-1. Is that correct? 5-1. All right, decision made. Thank you, council, for all of your perspectives and the respectful discourse, and thank you to the public for taking the time and being here. It's always helpful when people show up. It's nice. Councilor Mero.
Just as a word of comment, this whole deliberative process was intentional, and although the time and length of it was not desirable, the fact of the matter is because it is such an unconventional way to fund a marina, the public needed to know that we did our due diligence over and over and over again so that nobody can come to us with a clear conscience and say that we did not follow through carefully for the good of this city. That's all.
Well said. Thank you, Councilor Mero.
Just real quick, we want to be able to get everything together for March or April when we go and float the bond. So we just kind of want to get a better sense. There's a few more things. I don't want to drag this out, but basically, scenario 5 had the full dredging and the breakwater repair and renovation, and then putting money aside for the reserve. It also had, I heard the discussion about utility tax and about the lodging tax, and also about the dredging. There's also a dredging fee on here. So the direction I think I heard was we'll go and we'll see what we can do with the lodging tax to get that to $55,000. And if that happens, and we're able to do that long term, we don't have to worry about the utility tax, but the dredging fee is still on here for the $100,000. So would the direction be that we're going to come back with a master fee schedule and go ahead and do that, what do you call it? Do the dredging fee of, what does that look like? 7% increase over the October rates.
Where's the full dredge? Sorry, I'd already moved my packet to the next. If scenario 5 includes the full dredging, and that appeared to be the direction that council was leaning, then so move forward with the master fees. Are there any unknowns between now and then that?
Oh, come on.
Sorry, we can hear you, Chris.
I know.
Just wondering if it would be prudent to direct staff to bring a fee schedule to us right away, or?
For Chris's request, we're going to do some more math here. No, I'm kidding. Basically, okay, so we'll bring the fee schedule, we'll have a discussion, we'll have a vote on the fee schedule, and then we'll just try the lodging tax, because the round's coming up, and then we'll see how that goes with the lodging tax.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it, really, so.
Right. Okay. Do you feel like you got direction?
Yeah, I feel like we know where we're going. I know what paperwork to put together for you guys.
Okay. We have a few more items, and we're probably going to have to extend the meeting time, but there's been a request for a break. So at this time, we will take a 5-minute recess and reconvene at 8:40. Thank you.
I know.
Are we back? Okay. Thank you, Counselor Wittgenstein, for hanging with us. If you need to drop off, that's okay. I think we might actually be able to get this done by 9 o'clock, though. We've got 3 more items. Okay, next up, public hearing ordinance number 2000. We went from 1998 to 2000. That's right, we have.
Yeah,
How could I forget 1999? Sorry.
One snuck in the middle there.
Don't you dare.
How could I forget?
Don't you dare.
It's late. Okay, so this is a follow-on to the previous action, amending Title III. It's just pertaining to the administrative provisions for the action that the council just took. So almost a carbon copy. So this time I will, well, you know what, I will introduce our Deputy City Administrator and Finance Director, David Goldman, and he can explain Ordinance 2000, creating Oak Harbor Municipal Code, Chapter 3.99, pertaining to the administrative provisions for the city's B&O tax.
Thank you, City Council. I prepared a 45-minute presentation now. It's basically, this is for the administrative rules chapter that goes along with the B&O tax, local B&O tax. It's required by the state to have a separate chapter and separate ordinance and all that. It is a public hearing, so it does need to be opened up to the public and then closed. But it's the same rules apply, just fill in the blank, 4 million annual, 1 million quarterly, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I will open the public hearing and ask if we've received any comment about Ordinance 2000 specifically.
No, we haven't.
Okay, and see if there is anyone present who would like to make a public comment regarding Ordinance number 2000? No? Okay. Then I will close the public hearing and call upon council for their questions and comments. And in terms of making a motion, we're at the bottom half of the screen on our monitors here. So council, I turn to you.
Thank you. Okay.
Councilmember Arms.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2000, amendment Title III of the Oak Harbor Municipal Code to add a chapter 3.99 pertaining to administration provision for the city, local business, and occupational tax with gross receipts threshold of 4 million per annum and 1 million per quarter, and with an effective date of October 1, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Arms and a second from Councilor Wittgenstein to approve the recommended action as presented. Any further council comment, question, feedback? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving right along. Contracts and agreements, Transportation Improvement Board grant application. And to present this, we have our grants administrator, Wendy Horn.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I will make this as short and sweet as possible.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Wendy. David, in terms of the B&O tax and the next steps, there's a slide in our packet outlining next steps. Is that anything that we have to address tonight, or is that future next steps? Because there's a motion and everything.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, you gave me direction, we know what we're gonna bring. We're good to go.
Okay, so in terms of immediate next steps, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Wendy.
Okay.
Proceed, thank you.
So the Transportation Improvement Board funds projects for streets and roads. In the past 2 years, the city of Oak Harbor has received 3 of these grants. One was for West Whidbey, the other Northeast 7th, and the current one is for Swantown. The project that we are proposing to apply for this year is for Southeast Barrington Drive, from basically Highway 20 to Southeast 8th Avenue, so it would be right across out here in front of City Hall. And the reason that we are proposing this is we're going to be applying for an arterial pavement preservation project, which is basically just a repaving project. And according to Public Works, the sewer and water utilities are in good condition, so they don't need to be replaced. But we do need some repaving on Barrington, as you all probably are very well aware. So one of the questions you might have is, why not Southwest Barrington or Pioneer? And a couple of the reasons why they did not choose those two is that they both need significant utility replacements and upgrades. They're much like the West Whidbey project or the Northeast 7th project. The other piece of Pioneer that we just learned, or I just learned, Steve just informed me, that Pioneer Street is actually in the FEMA designated flood zone, which makes it so much more complicated when you go to do anything. So the arterial preservation program just covers replacement of roads or repavement of roads to extend their life. So we thought this would be a good project. So since it is quite a length of street road, we're going to request up to probably $900,000. They're still finalizing the amounts. The request requires a 20% match, which will come from the street funds. The deadline is August 15th. And with that, I can take questions, but Steve Schuler's here as well.
Thank you, Ms. Horn. Appreciate it. This time, I will ask if we have received any public comments on this issue.
No, Mayor Pro Tem, we have not.
And is there anyone present who wishes to make a comment on this item? Yep. Seeing none, I will turn to council for their questions and comments. Councilor Stuckey.
I think you knew, but I appreciate you mentioning Pioneer, so it saved me the question. So thanks for thinking ahead.
Yeah, staff's good at anticipating what we're going to ask. Any other, Councilor Wittgenstein.
Yeah, I'd like to move to approve a grant application of the Transportation Improvement Board Arterial Pavement Preservation Program for Southeast Barrington Drive overlay to SR20, from SR20 to Southeast 8th Avenue.
We have a motion from Councilor Wittgenstein and a second from Councilor Merrow, bless you, by the way, to approve the recommended action as presented, approving a grant application for the TIB arterial pavement, something or other, Barrington 20 to 8th. Any further comments, questions from council before I call for a vote? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, not yet. Not yet. Thank you. Okay, last item. Approval of accounts payable vouchers, Chamber of Commerce. As noted in prior meetings, and again tonight, Councilmember Marshall, as the Executive Director of the Greater Oak Harbor Chamber of Commerce, will have to recuse himself from voting on vouchers pertaining to the chamber. So staff has prepared, those vouchers would normally be part of our consent agenda, but we have separated those for council approval. And have we received any public comment regarding
No,
those
Mayor Pro Tem, no public comment.
payable
has been
vouchers?
received.
Okay. And are there any council comments regarding those vouchers? Councilor Merrow.
Just as a word, I do not have a conflict of interest. I am on the board for the Chamber of Commerce, but as a non-voting member.
Thank you for that disclosure, Councilor Merrow. Councilor Wittgenstein.
Do we need it? Do we have a formed motion ahead of time, or can I just wing it?
I would say we do have a recommended action, but you could, if you.
I could wing it.
If you move to approve the recommended action, I'll read it when I repeat your motion.
I'm moving, I make a motion that we approve this voucher payroll thing. Whatever the recommended action is.
Voucher payroll.
I can't see it on the background,
Yep.
so.
No, that's okay. So we have a motion from Counselor Wittgenstein to approve accounts payable, vouchers, payroll checks. See vouchers numbers listed in attachments. Oak Harbor Municipal Code, Chapter 3.72 establishes procedures for claims vouchers. The determination that supports the signature cover sheets is attached. Claim vouchers will be provided prior to City Council, blah, blah, blah. So just approval of payable accounts vouchers is the motion. Do I have a second? And then we have a second from Counselor Marrow. Any questions, discussions? All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? With one abstention from Counselor Marshall. And that passes 5 to, wouldn't be that passes by 5 votes with one abstention. Okay, coming in just under the wire at 8:52 p.m., I would entertain any further
So
business
moved.
or a motion to or adjourn. Do we have a second?
I guess I'll second
Okay,
it.
we have a second from Wittgenstein, or sorry, a motion from Wittgenstein, second by Stuckey to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your hand.
I hope to be in person next time. Thanks for putting up with
Councilmember
me.
Wittgenstein,
Thank you
you
for
bring
hanging in
such
there.
value to this body.
For hanging in there.